The other three individuals withdrew some distance away, while Xiao Yan's fire cauldron expanded. They separated this wide sky into 4 areas. Hun Huzi's body flashed and appeared above the black fire cauldron, after which he sat down. With a wave of his sleeve, tons of medicinal ingredients flew out in all directions. In an instant, a rich medicinal fragrance immediately spread through the sky. While he began to refine a medicinal pill, Elder Wanhua in the distance had used the 9 serene wind flame to form a fire cauldron. At their level, they could do without medicinal cauldrons because they could randomly use their heavenly flames to form high-quality medicinal cauldrons. The person who had created the biggest commotion was Old Man Shenlong. The liquid-like green flame swiftly spread before he sat down within the sea of fire. He waved his sleeve, and many medicinal ingredient seeds containing a strange fragrance swiftly scattered. Finally, they fell into the sea of fire, after which the seeds swiftly sprouted in front of many stunned eyes, after which they rapidly grew within the fiercely burning flame. Old Man Shenlong smiled as he looked at the rapidly growing medicinal ingredients. He flicked his finger and ripples formed in the sea of flames. They swiftly agglomerated into droplets of a pure green liquid. It was vaguely possible to see traces of fire seedlings rising from the liquid. A rich life force seeped out it. The green liquid stopped above many medicinal ingredients, after which a drop quietly dripped down after this fire liquid entered these medicinal ingredients. The medicinal ingredients appeared to have consumed a catalyst. Their rate of growth soared. Within a dozen minutes, the many seeds turned into various rare medicinal ingredients before they grew some more. They moved joyously within the green sea of flames. It is indeed worthy of being the life spirit flame. Xiao Yan in the distance involuntarily praised after seeing this mysterious scene. Other than possessing a weak combat ability, this life spirit flame was really the heavenly flame that was the dream of all alchemists. It would truly be a divine object in the hands of the Pill Tower or the Yao clan. Although Xiao Yan understood that spurring the growth of the medicinal ingredients would greatly exhaust the user, many of these medicinal ingredients required at least 100 years to grow. This exhaustion was not worth mentioning compared to such a long period of time. Xiao Yan withdrew his attention after praising the flame. He looked at his huge pink cauldron, and with a wave of his hand, densely packed medicinal ingredients flew out of his storage ring. Finally, they stopped around the fire cauldron. The number of various medicinal ingredients were terrifying, causing many alchemists to feel somewhat speechless. Compared to the way these 4 individuals refined pills, the pill refinements earlier, including the 9-colored pill lightning Yao Tian had attracted, felt small and insignificant. Go! Xiao Yan's shoulders shook after summoning the medicinal ingredients. Little Li flew out and entered the fire cauldron. Then, a crack was formed in the fire cauldron. A suction force surged and swallowed the thousands of medicinal ingredients floating in the sky, after which a flame suddenly grew within the fire cauldron. He actually wishes to refine so many medicinal ingredients together? Even the faces of those elders from the Yao clan involuntarily twitched upon seeing these ingredients fly into the cauldron. The required composition of the thousands of medicinal ingredients that needed to be refined were all different. Could it really be possible to simply throw them all into the fire cauldron together? Yao Lao in a VIP seat merely grinned as he watched Xiao Yan. He had a relatively confident in Xiao Yan since Xiao Yan's skills as an alchemist had long since surpassed his teacher. Just how on earth did this fellow train? He is about our age. Yet this fellow possesses the qualification to compete with Elder Wanhua. Ugh. Many of the members from the younger generation from the Yao clan below the stage had clustered together, but the extremely proud youths from the Yao clan were currently suffering a great blow as they looked at the sky. Even Yao Tian, who had obtained the best result during the earlier part of the medicine ceremony, displayed a gloomy expression. Although he was very dissatisfaction in his heart, the enormous gap between Xiao Yan and him could not be ignored. Besides Yao Tian, the icy-cold Yao Ling, who had been doted by everyone, was also watching the calm young figure in the sky with pretty eyes. This was the first time in so many years that she had seen someone similar to her age compete in terms of pill refinement with the elders of the alchemist world like Elder Wanhua. Such an achievement was something that caused even a blessed genius like her in the Yao clan to involuntarily feel an admiration within her heart. Yao Xingji, he did not appear this strong when we met him in the Gu clan back then, did he? Yao Ling turned her head to look at one of her suitors beside her. At that spot was another person from the Yao clan, the one who had given Xiao Yan the invitation to the medicinal ceremony, Yao Xingji. At that time, he was merely an ordinary Dozun. Although his spiritual strength was powerful, it had not reached such a frightening level. Unexpectedly, he has already reached such a level within a short few years. Yao Xingji bitterly laughed. There was an unknown feeling in his voice. When he had met Xiao Yan back then, Xiao Yan boasted a similar strength. If the both of them were to engage in an alchemist match at that time, it would have been difficult to predict the victor. However, who could have imagined that there would be so a vast gap between the two of them when they next met? His spiritual strength already belongs to the same level as Elder Wanhua, perfect heavenly state. Yao Ling's pretty eyes looked at the figure in the sky. An unusual glint flickered in them. Her soul was different from an ordinary person since she had been born. The clan head had once said that if she was sufficiently lucky, she might even be able to step into that legendary D-state soul. She had always been proud of her spiritual strength. Even her extremely talented older brother was weaker than her in terms of spiritual strength. Xiao Yan was the only person in the same generation to surpass her in terms of spiritual strength. The thousands of medicinal ingredients in the sky were all swallowed by the fire cauldron before Xiao Yan sat down. Being in possession of the heavenly flame spirit, his control while refining pills was a lot more relaxing than the others. With little helping to perfectly control his heavenly flame, refining medicinal ingredients was a simple and ordinary task. A fierce pink flame wrapped around the fire cauldron like a huge fireball. Every couple of minutes, many small fireballs would rush out of the fire cauldron. Finally, they would rotate around the fire cauldron. These fire clusters were encasing different medicinal liquids and powders. All of them were necessary medicinal ingredients refined until they were very pure. The three others in the sky were also refining a large number of medicinal ingredients, while the number of fire clusters floating around Xiao Yan's fire cauldron was increasing. Although they did not possess a heavenly flame spirit, and were unable to catch up to Xiao Yan when it came to the effectiveness of their refinement, they were still gurus. Refining medicinal ingredients was a basic task. It was clearly not a problem to them. Many alchemists in the stadium watched the extremely smooth medicinal refinement methods in the sky. Their faces were completely immersed while a wild heat glowed in their eyes. This medicinal ingredient refinement continued for around a day before Xiao Yan finally took the lead to open his eyes. He looked at the densely packed fire clusters floating around the fire cauldron before he let out a deep breath and gently waved his hand. Many fire clusters rushed back into the fire cauldron. Soon after, a shocking energy fluctuation wildly spread from the medicinal cauldron. Even the fire cauldron had shook until it emitted a buzzing sound. Soon after Xiao Yan had completely refined the medicinal ingredients, Hun Huzi opened both of his eyes. He threw the many medicinal liquids that he had refined into his fire cauldron, after which his hand seal changed. A loud cry sounded, "The world's strength, listen to my order." After Hun Huzi's cry sounded, a wild wind suddenly swept through the sky. An endless naturally energy gathered around the fire cauldron from all directions. Finally, it was devoured by the suction force being emitted. This terrifying devouring made the energy form a mottled energy storm, which crazily howled in the sky before it was completely devoured by the fire cauldron. This terrifying pill refinement aura caused many people to quietly swallow a mouthful of saliva. They had not heard that they needed to absorb natural energy when refining pills because extra energy would at times break the equilibrium of the medicinal properties, resulting in failure. However, this thinking clearly belonged to an ordinary person. The Yao clan elders and some alchemist gurus revealed shock on their faces at this moment. Even Yao Dan in the leader's seat showed an extremely grave expression. Gathering natural energy to refine pills, this method, he is actually planning to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill. The activity caused by Hun Huzi was detected by Xiao Yan and the other two. Elder Wanhua knit his eyebrows. He let out a cold snort and changed his hand seal. A stern cry also sounded, "Natural energy gather." Many members of the Yao clan were excited to hear Elder Wanhua's cry. He was also planning to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill. Ha ha, since the both of you have acted in such a grand fashion, this elderly self must naturally not fall behind. Elder Shen-nong laughed upon seeing the energy gather. He waved his sleeve, and the surrounding natural energy once again became chaotic. Waves of majestic energy were dragged into the fire cauldron in front of him. Since the three of you are in such a mood, Xiao Yan can only join all of you. Xiao Yan faintly smiled as he watched the natural energy get dragged around in a chaotic fashion. The seal formed by his hands changed. A frightening suction force was emitted from his fire cauldron that forcefully dragged energy in, fearlessly snatching natural energy. The many alchemists present watched as waves of thunder roared and energy storms erupted in the sky. Their hearts were startled. The four of them were actually refining legendary Tier 9 mysterious pills. Such a scene was indeed an extremely rare occurrence. The four of them are all refining Tier 9 mysterious pills. Yao Dan watched these unusual phenomenons form in the sky from the leader's seat. His expression involuntarily became a little strange. With his eyesight, he was able to see through the battle of these four individuals. He might not be aware of the others' abilities, but he at least understood Elder Wanhua well. Elder Wanhua's alchemist skill might be quite great, but his chances of successfully refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill likely did not exceed 20%. Moreover, the refinement of a Tier 9 mysterious pill required the absorption of a relatively terrifying amount of natural energy. Although the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius of this medicine mountain was extremely dense, it was clearly impossible for it to support the formation of 4 Tier 9 mysterious pills. Based on his estimates, even if all of the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius of this medicine mountain was absorbed, it would be somewhat difficult to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill. Moreover, these fellows were refining 4 of them together. If it was so easy to refine a Tier 9 mysterious pill, it would not be so rare in this world. Yao Dan slightly shook his head. He did not think that any of the 4 individuals would be able to successfully refine this pill in his heart. Hence, the 4 of them would likely fail and end up in a draw during this competition. Of course, his eyesight was sharp, and it was possible for him to look quite far ahead. However, the others did not possess such eyesight. Hence, all of them revealed shocked and joyous expressions as they stared at the sky. This unusual pill refinement scene was really extremely rare. Yao Lao also frowned as he sat in his seat. Although he was aware that Xiao Yan had obtained an extremely rare Tier 9 mysterious pill medicinal formula from the first elder of the pill tower before leaving, he had not expected Xiao Yan to pick it as his target this time around. Although a Tier 9 treasure pill and a Tier 9 mysterious pill was only a one-word difference, the gap between them was like the heavens and the earth. Although it was rare to find an alchemist who could refine a Tier 9 treasure pill on the continent, it was not impossible, but in the last 100 years, Yao Lao had never heard of anyone successfully refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill. From this point, it was possible for one to vaguely understand the difficulty of refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill. The energy in the distant sky crazily whistled before gathering into 4 huge tornadoes. One side of the tornado was connected to a fire cauldron, while the other was wildly absorbing the rich natural energy. This natural energy continuously poured into the fire cauldron. The people around the stadium suddenly felt the dou qi within their bodies showing signs of breaking free from in the face of this all-out suction from the 4 individuals. Immediately, a shock rose in their hearts. They hurriedly pulled back in panic, afraid that the dou qi within their bodies, which they had obtained after much hard work, would be dragged away by the 4 storms in the sky. If that occurred, their losses would be far too great. This unusual phenomenon in the sky continued for a total of 3 days. During this period of time, everyone lost track of the amount of energy that had been absorbed. They could only sense that the flowing energy in the surrounding air had become a lot thinner. The medicinal ingredients around the stadium had even begun to show signs of turning into a withering yellow. Their energy had been forcefully sucked away. Refining a Tier 9 mysterious pill could basically be described as man creating a divine object. The energy needed to form it was frightening large, enough to shock many elite doshongs. It had once been recorded in the ancient books that wherever a Tier 9 mysterious pill was born during the ancient era, everything within a 5-kilometer radius would turn barren because all the energy had been absorbed by the medicinal pill. This energy requirement was the reason why a Tier 9 mysterious pill would possess a shocking intelligence the moment it was born. Of course, there was still some difficulty if it wished to reach the level of the ancestor from the small pill tower. The ancestor's formation was partly due to luck. Moreover, the pill had merged with its owner's soul when it had been formed, resulting in the ancestor of the pill tower undergoing a transformation. After thousands of years of training, it had finally reached its current stage. Normally speaking, the ancestor was considered a completely unique existence. Although the members of the Yao clan felt some heartache for those medicinal ingredients that had turned yellowish, there was nothing they could do. Some of the Yao clan elders had quickly intervened and hurriedly placed some seals on the more precious medicinal fields around the Medicine Mountain. Otherwise, this Medicine Mountain would end up barren once the competition was over. The endless devouring continued for a total of 3 days. By noon of the 3rd day, everyone suddenly sensed the non-stop whistling in the sky suddenly become much quieter. They lifted their heads and saw the 4 huge tornadoes quietly disappear. 4,000-foot-large fire cauldrons floated in the sky. An extremely shocking energy fluctuation vaguely spread from them. The ripples caused even the expressions of Xiao Yan and the 3 others to appear unusually grave. If the energy were to explode, they would at least be seriously injured if they even managed to keep their lives. All the energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius has been absorbed. Yao Dan grabbed at the empty air in front of him before helplessly shaking his head. The energy contained in the air had reached a frighteningly low amount. It would require at least a couple of months in order for the Medicine Mountain to recover its richness. There is insufficient energy in this place. The pill refinement has failed. The many elders from the Yao clan felt neither able to laugh nor cry. The embryonic form of the medicinal pills within the medicinal cauldrons of the 4 figures in the sky were only half complete, but the surrounding natural energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius had all been absorbed. There was no longer enough energy to support their pill refinements. The perfect heavenly state only allowed the 4 of them to control the natural energy within a 5,000-kilometer radius. Of course, if their souls had advanced to the legendary D state, things would be completely different. At that time, one would be able to control the energy wherever one's spiritual perception could reach for one's own use. It was rumored that during ancient times, those ultimate experts, whose souls had advanced to the legendary D state, could control nearly half of the central plane's energy with their thoughts. Just thinking of this level caused one to feel frightened. The eyelids of Xiao Yan and the three others in the sky were opened at this moment. They looked at the half-completed embryonic medicinal pills within their medicinal cauldrons and frowned. If they were unable to continue drawing energy from the surroundings, just their own do-chi alone not enough to fill this huge pit. Looks like no one will be able to succeed this time around. Elder Wanhua bitterly laughed and shook his head. That may not be true. Elder Wanhua's words had just sounded when a strange laughter surfaced from Hun Huzi in the distance. The seals formed by his hands suddenly changed. Finally, his hand ruthlessly slammed against the fire cauldron in front of him. 3 clusters of black flame pillars erupted and turned into 3 crazily rotating black holes in the air above the fire cauldron. A frightening, devouring force surged. The vast and mighty energy that was absorbed by the fire cauldrons belonging to the other 3 during the last few days had turned into many light pillars that were forcefully swallowed by the black holes. Hun Huzi, how dare you? The expressions of the 3 immediately became gloomy upon seeing their energy being sucked away. They had not expected this Hun Huzi to be this bold. He had directly targeted them. Old Man Shenong and Elder Wanhua furiously cried out. The Life Spirit Flame and the 9 Serene Wind Flame immediately swept out and ruthlessly collided with the black holes. But this sudden assault caused the black holes to rotate with increasing speed. The devouring power erupted and swallowed both of their heavenly flames. Old Man Shenong's and Elder Wanhua's expressions immediately became ugly after seeing that their obstruction was futile. The Life Spirit Flame might be ranked quite high, but it was more famous for its aiding ability. If they were to really battle, it was impossible for the Life Spirit Flame to be a match for the Nihility Devouring Flame. The 9 Serene Wind Flame was merely ranked 10th. It was extremely difficult for this flame to make up the gap between it and the Nihility Devouring Flame. Haha, the both of you actually wish to stop my Nihility Devouring Flame with these types of heavenly flames. You must be dreaming. Hun Huzi loudly laughed, but his laughter had just sounded when his expression changed. His eyes hurriedly shifted to the black hole above Xiao Yan's fire cauldron. He saw a fire glow shoot out from that fire cauldron, after which it turned into a fire baby. The fire baby wore an expression of disdain as he waved his small hand. A pink flame surged and wrapped around the black hole. The devouring power of the black hole was eroded by a mysterious purifying force the moment it met the pink flame. The Nihility Devouring Flame possessed a devouring power, while the purifying demonic lotus flame possessed a purifying force. Although it was difficult to determine which was stronger, the purifying demonic lotus flame in Xiao Yan's hands not only possessed a heavenly flame spirit, it was also a genuine essence flame. On the other hand, Hun Huzi merely controlled a seed flame. It might not be an ordinary seed flame, but it was obvious that it could not compete with the purifying demonic lotus flame that Little E had transformed into. Hun Huzi, thank you for your gift. I will accept the energy within this heavenly flame. Xiao Yan slightly smiled. He purified that black flame into pure energy and poured it into the fire cauldron. Light surged within the fire cauldron, and the embryonic medicinal pill became more solid. This brat. Hun Huzi's expression sank as he sat in the distance. He had not expected to not only be unable to devour any energy, he had also lost a bit of energy for his seed flame. After suffering such a loss, he could only cease targeting Xiao Yan. Although his Nihility Devouring Flame seed flame was hard for Old Man Shenong and Elder Wanhua to deal with, it was clearly far from sufficient to deal with Xiao Yan's purifying demonic lotus flame. You will not be able to remain pleased for long. Hun Huzi's eyes flashed as he coldly laughed. The seal formed by his hands changed, and the black holes devouring the energy from Old Man Shinnong's and Elder Wanwa's cauldrons suddenly started to devour more. With an increasing amount of energy pouring in, his embryonic medicinal pill became brighter. According to this speed, it was actually showing signs of forming. Soon, a joy flashed across Hun Huzi's face when he saw it solidifying. However, the moment joy appeared, a pink flame suddenly rushed over. It turned into a fire baby that stood on his fire cauldron. The baby curled his mouth in disdain, after which he slammed his palm on the cauldron cover and subsequently grabbed the embryonic pill in front of Hun Huzi's stunned eyes before escaping as smoke. "You are seeking death." The dullness continued for an instant before Hun Huzi's furious roar suddenly rippled across the sky.